Lovely to have you.
You actually look really well.
I'm feeling much better. Yeah.
Okay, then Anna, if you'd like to welcome.
Yeah, so we're on our last speaker, and by no means least. We've had a fantastic couple of days, and it's been really like an eye-opener, lots of information, lots of tips, lots of strategies. So we're going to be listening now to Jolie, and Jolie's been a friend of the charity for a few years now. You've spoken at the Expo, you've spoken with me on the radio, you've been on Chrissy B, you've been everywhere with me. So Jolie is going to be talking about Asperger World, thriving as an autistic adult, gaslighting, and autism acceptance. So over to you, Jolie.
Thank you. Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Jolie and I am known as Asperger World. I was diagnosed at 2 years old as autistic, and I used to be partially deaf, and I didn't learn to speak until I was 7. I am 28 now, and I am a multi-award winning autism advocate and author. And I have a little gift. A gift that hinders me with many hidden hardships, but also walks hand in hand with the very things I love most about myself. You see, my disability is my gift, and my gift is autism. And today, I will be discussing what I believe to be some of the key components to autism acceptance and thriving as an autistic woman: gaslighting, autism quirks, and gifts. So first of all, as an autistic woman with an invisible disability, I get asked a lot how my autism impacts me, as I don't look autistic. So to begin, just because I appear capable or not autistic does not mean that I'm not being disabled by my autism all of the time. My autism impacts every second of my life in a variety of complex and hidden and endearing ways, and it always will. But I'm okay with that, because now I have learned to better understand myself. And I wish people knew that it's not a compliment to suggest that I'm not really that autistic or that I can't be autistic because I don't look it, as if autism has a look. It is true, though, I don't look autistic in a very stereotypical sense, and I hear it all the time, and that's okay too. Stereotypes can be harmful to autism acceptance purely because it paints an inconclusive picture of autism, and the stereotypes don't always tell the entire story. And of course, there are autistic people that match those stereotypes, and that is fine too. We are all autistic and all different. I am curious though, when people say that I don't look autistic, what do they think that I should look like? Am I supposed to be like Rain Man or Sheldon Cooper from The Big Bang Theory? Am I supposed to be totally non-verbal, unable to communicate in a way that most people can understand? Am I supposed to have no life skills and require round-the-clock care? Am I supposed to be totally incapable of any basic self-care or chores? Am I supposed to never make eye contact? Walk on tiptoes? Am I supposed to have no understanding of danger? Or am I supposed to talk annoyingly about my obscure specialist subject for hours on end? What does autism look like? In all honesty, these stereotypes of autism are actually all me on very different days, and very often all at once. For a start, I'm talking annoyingly about my obscure specialist interest right now in a speech, because I was lucky enough to make autism as a career for me. Additional to that, my passion is ancient history and Egyptology. I can't tie my shoelaces, and I need one-to-one care to empower me to do basic life skills and self-care. I used to be non-verbal, and I used to communicate exclusively using hieroglyphics. And I still become non-verbal or otherwise unable to communicate or process my thoughts today. I still need help crossing the road because I can't make connections quick enough when cars are coming. I have no sense of danger. I need one-to-one care and constant organizing so that I can organize myself and be capable of basic life skills and self-care. I need a carer to organize myself, my time and my thoughts and actions on a daily basis, or just nothing would get done. I have 16 out of 100 basic life skills on an average day. And all in all, that is pretty low for an adult nearing her 30s. And that's all me, day to day. And yet I don't look autistic because people never see my lived reality for that long. They don't see me bedbound in sensory-friendly surroundings for days at a time. They don't see the nights where I sleep in a cold, empty bathtub because I'm so overwhelmed and exhausted, because my skin is burning with such a ferocity that no fabric, no matter how soft, can touch me, because my bed is so unbearably painful that a cold bath is the only thing I can sleep in. They don't see me so shut down that I cannot walk or talk or even think. They don't see me at such a loss over my bodily functions that I cannot control my bladder, feed or wash myself, or stop myself from dribbling. They don't see me screaming in a meltdown or hitting myself on the head as I desperately try to cope. Me not fitting the stereotypes of autism in the small window in which people meet me does not mean I'm any less autistic. I am autistic. My functioning varies all over the spectrum, from low to middle to high, like a scatter graph, really. And it changes depending on the hour, the environment, gaslighting, shutdowns, and so much more. The truth is, I am very much unashamedly autistic, and my autism impacts every second of my life in a multitude of different, invisible, complex, and endearing ways. And I wouldn't change it. I thrive because of my autism, not in spite of it. And thanks to Autism Acceptance and learning to understand my disability, I have learned how to thrive. So the first step to autism acceptance for me was recognizing my quirks and gifts. Also recognizing my hardships as something that is me because of my autism and not something that I'm doing wrong. It was freeing for me because I knew that failing and making mistakes must mean that I tried, and there is nothing wrong with trying your best. It was accepting that I was trying my best all of the time, and if I failed or didn't do as well as I could have, then the world was not accessible and understanding enough of me to allow me to truly succeed. In this way, my whole life, I've been taught that my mind is wrong and perceives things the wrong way, that my brain is missing something that everyone else has. And this used to make me feel so alien, so ashamed. But now I've moved past that, because what if they are wrong about me? What if they are wrong about autism? Now I wonder to myself, is it my mind that is missing a part that other people seem to have? Or are they all missing the extra pieces that I was blessed with? Are they the ones who are really lacking? If only people would challenge their misconceptions of autism. So, true to my autistic style, I've made a list of my favorite aspects of my autism that helped me accept my autism. And I've made a list because, well, I just really like lists. So, without further ado, number 1, the obsessive joy and passionate joy of autism. My biggest passions, as I've mentioned, are Egyptology and my autism. And it's hard to explain, though, truly, because even passion or obsession, or whatever term you like to use, doesn't even come close to describing my relationship with these things. It's not just that I could be anywhere doing anything and my heart is racing and all I can think about is Egyptology or my autism, and all I want to do is research it and read about it and talk about it. It's not just that. I'm doing ancient rituals in my head to cope with hardships, or that I find ways to talk about or explain my autism in any conversation nearly all of the time. It's not just that, it's that the experience is so rich, so helpful to me, so utterly joyous. It is a kind of magic that I'm addicted to, yet the magical spell cast on me that isn't a curse, but more a blessing that makes me a better person for it. As a child, learning about my biggest passions enabled me to cope with the hardships in my life. It enabled me to communicate, to help me cope with death, bullies, or misunderstandings. And I used my collection of Egyptian statues and hieroglyphs to act out recitals, blessings, and prayers to help me cope. In this way, I always used my passions to express myself, whether it was through ancient history, art, creative writing, or music. Whatever it was I was struggling to deal with, my biggest passions have always been there for me, to help me whenever times have got tough. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that my autism may be a disability, but it empowers my other abilities too. And if barriers are removed and my passions are accessible to me, I can be empowered to use them and thrive. So, number 2, my disability has many gifts as a justice seeker. You see, like all autistic people, I am autistic for life, and this is not a bad thing for me, because for the rest of my life, I will always be honest and incapable of deliberate lying or manipulation. I have a strong sense of justice. I will always try to abide by the rules, so I am never intentionally bad or rude. My life is dedicated to doing the right thing by people and situations, no matter the cost to me. If I see a bully, I will call them out, even if, as a child, this meant that I would get attacked too, because it is the right thing to do. Although I have now learned to stand up for justice in safer ways, I am proud of myself and love myself because of this innate need for justice that I have. Number 3, I am enabled to be a very loyal, trustworthy, kind, empathetic, and a good friend. In this way, autism is not selfish, despite these misconceptions, because we are always trying to follow the rules and do the correct and truthful things. And there is nothing selfish about trying. I show empathy to help others in a way that is so easily misunderstood. But this does not mean that I'm not empathetic. I love my friends and family like I love myself. They are a part of me, and while I like to be alone, I love my community and I want to better it too. I care so deeply for the people around me, for strangers, for family, for loved ones. So much so that it often shuts down my processing capabilities so that it can seem like I am a robot, maybe, and don't care at all. But I do. I always care, so much so that it will riddle me with pain and confusion and slows down my processing to this impossible communication and compatibility. None of this means that I don't care and I'm not trying my very best. I am always caring and I'm always trying. I hate to leave the list on an odd number, but it would be pretty illogical of me to add to a list just to make an even number. Oh well, number 4. I am not always every stereotype that you read about regarding autism. I'm not always super logical or factual, or a loner or a walking encyclopedia. I can be, but that depends on shutdowns on my current capabilities to process information that I know. And I can also be very stereotypical, and I love that about myself. All in all, I believe that there is a lot to celebrate in autism. And although it is so complicated, I can't help but feel that it is so beautiful, with all of its hidden depths and quirks too. These quirks and differences should all be celebrated because they can all be used to thrive. So, little water break. Ooh. Sorry if I get a bit breathless. I'm still recovering from bilateral pneumonia 5 months ago, and I still get so breathless. Whew, okay. The next part to autism acceptance for me is learning to understand the hidden hardships and grow with them. So I have taken a look back at some of my biggest hardships to learn how to best help shape my future. And one of the major hardships I have faced is one that all autistic people have likely faced too. And that hardship is unintentional gaslighting and the consequential doubt and endless questions of your reality and your worth. Questions such as, what is normal? Am I normal? Should I be? Growing up as an autistic, disabled, or chronically ill woman like me, I am still haunted by my attempts at answering this question, which leads me on to discuss unintentional gaslighting, which is a heartbreaking and a lesser known truth of being autistic. And according to research, the definition of gaslighting is to manipulate someone by psychological means into doubting their own sanity, lived reality, lived experiences, or self. And first of all, there are 2 types of gaslighting in my eyes. The well-known type is intentional gaslighting, when someone will intentionally cause harm by using their words or actions to manipulate you into doubting yourself and alter your memories or your perceptions of your reality. As an example, they may move your belongings and hide them from you and then convince you that you misplaced them or didn't leave them where you know that you did. Or they may steal money from your purse and convince you that you never had the money to begin with, all with the intent to make you doubt yourself, your memories, and your reality so much that you become dependent on them for support, because you feel like you are losing your mind and can no longer trust your own judgment. It's a form of mental isolation so that they can have complete control or power over you. And it's heartbreaking. I've had a lot of experience of this particular type of intentional gaslighting. In fact, I've experienced all of those examples with horrific and detrimental impacts onto my mental health. And many autistic people may experience this type of intentional gaslighting. But today, I want to talk more about the unintentional gaslighting that is more specific to the everyday lives of likely every autistic person. You see, every day, autistic people are often taught that their experiences are not real, that they are wrong, that they need to and can change by people who misunderstand their lived reality, their lived experiences. And the thing is, we who are autistic, we can be unintentionally gaslighted by anyone. Our families, friends, our workplace, bosses, professionals, peers, simply because our lived experiences are so misunderstood and so different to the norm. And it's often done with completely unintentionally, and so often it's just people trying to help. And it may be unintentional harm, but the results are still as damaging as that of intentional gaslighting. It still damages how you view yourself, your perceptions, even your memories. And it makes you doubt every fibre of your being, makes you feel like you can't trust your own judgments. It is unintentional, which means that people mostly have no intention of causing harm. So many are even trying to help, but the misunderstandings and the misconceptions are so large that they are unintentionally causing harm. As an example, my sensory needs are so misunderstood and gaslighted by people who do not understand me. It took years for me to finally understand that to most other people, many of my problems were not relatable. Most commonly, that my sensory issues were not real. I remember one time at school, my class had to make a list of problems that we had in relation to classroom learning. It was an activity with the aim of working through problems together. So I wrote my list, and we all know how much I love a list. I wrote my list, and I was very detailed and thorough. However, I got a big shock, a huge shock. As we read out our lists, I realized with horror, surprise, and confusion that other people don't experience sensory pain like I do. My list was triple the size of my classmates because I had listed all of my problematic sensory experiences. In their list of problems, no one else wrote about the excruciating sounds of blinds flapping in the breeze, the mind-bending scratch of pens or the creak of chairs, the nauseating tremble of words on paper, the migraine-infusing scent of disinfectant, the sweat, the perfume, the hot, bright lights blinding their eyes, the labels in their clothes burning their skin. Nobody, no one else felt that this was a reality, let alone a problem. And it was then that I realized that people don't always understand these sensory differences. They thought I was joking. They thought I was simply attention seeking. They labeled me the class clown because they thought that I couldn't possibly be serious about these ridiculous and not real sensory problems that I'd claimed to face. Teachers rolled their eyes at me and they told me off. They told me to stop or just get over it whenever I mentioned my sensory accessibility needs to learning, because they were convinced I had to be lying, I had to be exaggerating, and therefore that I could change myself to improve. I could stop having these fake difficulties to just get on with it and achieve better grades, because then my hardships were not perceived to be real, and they told me so a lot. In their eyes, it's not physically possible for your body to mentally and physically shut down due to anxiety, stress, or fatigue. In their eyes, I had to challenge everything I felt because most of it was not real anyway. And if I didn't, then I would get in trouble and faulted too. And this turns the problem onto me and puts me in this impossible situation where I doubt myself. I hate myself. And I doubt my lived reality to even be real. Because other people in society just does not understand me. As I said, it's dangerous. And that's the problem. Autism is a beautiful disability that is so misunderstood. And people have the best of intentions most of the time, but they can still cause harm. I was unintentionally gaslighted by people believing they were helping me, at school especially. I wasn't allowed to helpfully stim, to control the negative sensory input with safe sensory output, to prevent the future overloads, shutdowns, or meltdowns. Because teachers didn't understand how helpful stimming is. They wrongly they wrongly thought that it was a bad thing that was unhelpful. They thought it distracted my focus, whereas it actually helped me stay focused for longer. Additionally, I was not allowed to communicate in the helpful way that I best knew how, or have sensory rest or time out, because my exhaustion of capabilities were deemed as fake or not real. Shutdowns for me can last for days or weeks, depending on if I am able to recover and rest. And shutdowns for me mean agonizing pain, visual and auditory hallucinations, seizures, being unable to walk, talk, or even think, being totally incapable of life skills or basic self-care. And here's the thing. I have so many abilities and I'm good at so many things, but I'm not always capable of being my best self and achieving these things if I'm not enabled to rest and recover from those sensory information shutdowns. They never realized it was not my fault, so they blamed and gaslighted me for that too. Additionally, and this one still hurts, I was forced to shake hands and hug people as if my lack of consent to touch or be touched meant absolutely nothing. As if my sensory needs were not possible. It didn't seem to matter to people that my skin would burn for hours after touching someone. That the consequential overload could bring about a quicker shutdown. Besides, I don't think they truly understood just how painful these things really were for me. After all, how can a hug be painful to someone who does not experience it for themselves? My needs and my consent were not the priority, and they just didn't matter, just as long as I was doing what I was told and being more normal. And the thing is, my consent did matter. It mattered to me. And all of these examples stem from this lack of understanding and makes the problem to be the autistic individual. The reality is that our reactions to everyday stimuli are not seen as normal, and our lived reality is so different. This can be anything from our difficulty with language, processing information, or problem solving, to our finely tuned senses and the uncontrollable meltdowns that rage within us at any change in routine, injustice, or upset. This misunderstanding of a different lived reality to your own and not knowing how to best help can be the root cause of this unintentional gaslighting. And after years of it, it made my mental health and my ability to accept myself just crumble away. I felt like I must be mad for experiencing life so different to others. I felt like I must be crazy for having shutdowns or losing the ability to walk and talk when, according to my doctors and my teachers, an overreaction like that cannot exist. I must be mental for having overloads and noticing too much detail when nobody else does. I must be insane if I feel that my skin is burning at the texture of a rough label in my clothes because nobody else feels it. I must be crazy, right? Wrong. So wrong. I am not wrong for being different. I am not crazy or insane for any of these things. Best of all, I am not alone in experiencing these things either. I know that now, but I wish I knew that when I was younger. The neurotypical mask that I was forced to hide behind due to this unintentional gaslighting is unforgiving and drained my capabilities. And masking is exactly what it sounds like. We put on a mask. It's a neurotypical mask, and it's uncomfortable and painful, and it is so counterproductive. We pretend that we are not autistic. We might make a bit of eye contact, a bit of small talk, and we certainly don't stim or fidget. We stop ourselves from being fully us. We stop our behavior, our communication. And we try not to panic that someone is touching us because we will be the ones to get in trouble. We try to remember the scripts to make conversations with people so that we don't appear rude for the things that aren't even rude if you learn to understand us properly. It's painfully, physically, and mentally just exhausting. And my mask created more problems and enhanced the ones I already had. So even though it may have looked like I was making progress, I was actually becoming so much more disabled by my autism because I wasn't able to be my best self. And perceived progress is not the same as true, successful, effective progress. And you can only truly find progress if you're allowed to be yourself and empowered that way. In conclusion of masking, to say masking is harmful and draining is an understatement. To say masking is painful and counterproductive is the biggest understatement of all. And it took so many years before I was able to take my mask off again and truly feel accepting of myself as an autistic woman. I finally realized that it's not me. It's not me who should change, but my unjustified society, my inaccessible environment, and people's misconceptions of me. I was never in the wrong. Society's misunderstandings of me was wrong. So, what helped me cope with the masking and the gaslighting? What aided me to manage the hardships I face as an autistic woman, to learn to accept myself, to learn to thrive? And truly, it was a multitude of different things, really. First of all, my environments and my understanding family, my husband, my Senko at school, my peer mentors from volunteering and tutors at university. I will be forever grateful to all of them for changing my life and contributing their bits to helping me thrive, because I couldn't have done it without them. And all those years ago, the positive change that changed my life and helped to mold me to become a thriving autistic woman. And it just started with volunteering and autism activism. And by volunteering as an activist at my local disability youth action charity called the Chatterboxes, my zombie shell fell away, and suddenly I was empowered. And it was then that my story truly began, because it was then that I became happy again. And volunteering is a real cherished community that has taught me so much. One thing is that everyone has something meaningful to offer the world, and their quirks and their differences should be celebrated. They should be embraced and understood in order to best empower them. The other lesson volunteering taught me is that I should never give up on myself or see my disability as a wrong part of me that needs to be fixed. And it took many years to see that, but I do see that now. And although difficult, I started my career from being an unpaid volunteer autism activist. I worked at the Chatterboxes Charity Youth Action Group as flexible as I needed to. A few hours a week, I would cancel out of the blue when I had a surprise shutdown. I was able to leave early, and it was this sort of flexibility that I really needed to enable me to thrive and get this experience and life skills. It was that flexibility in volunteering that a paid job just would not be able to offer me. And through volunteering, I slowly worked my way up, taking as much time out as necessary to recuperate those lost abilities. I met my husband while we both volunteered, and he swiftly learned to understand me and empowered me. And I soon became a speaker, sharing my story. I started winning national and world awards for my campaigns, my blogs, magazine articles, and council work. And I then created my own autism activism business called Asperger World. And finally, I published my own book, Asperger World. Might have noticed there's a bit of a running theme. So, in my quest to thrive with an autism disability, the key is autism acceptance. So, what is autism acceptance to me? And for me, I believe that part of autism acceptance is learning to understand and accept the hardships and not undermining them, but trying to learn from them to best empower. For example, I struggle greatly with making connections and problem solving, and I have awful executive function. If I learn what these things mean with mindfulness and understanding, I can best establish how to help myself and then grow from it. And it really has helped me to accept myself, especially because I learned that these struggles I had were not anything I was doing wrong, because I was trying my 100% best all of the time, and no one could justifiably tell me off for that. I give myself a lot of rest to recuperate any lost capabilities, and I now know when to stop pushing myself into burnouts, shutdowns, or meltdowns. because I learnt to grow from my hardships. And likewise, my mental attitude to it was important too. I don't beat myself up for needing a break or needing time out or a rest, because I now accept myself and why I need to do it. Autism Acceptance says that the tragedy would be trying to make me be in any other way than unashamedly myself. For me, acceptance is always challenging and learning more from as many different perspectives, personal and professional perspectives as possible, because you accept that all autism is different. It's accepting that not one autistic person is the same as another, and just because we may display differently to other autistic people or our capabilities change does not mean that our autism is fake or not real autism. Next to acceptance is recognizing the silver linings. It took many years to truly recognize the beauty in my disability, but now I do believe there is a lot to celebrate. My honesty, loyalty, selflessness, empathy, punctuality, motivation, passion, and our innate need for justice. It's accepting that feeling useless, lost, and hopeless is okay. It's natural, and there is nothing wrong with it. There is nothing wrong with struggling. It's accepting that making mistakes and not being liked by people is not always a reflection of you or your actions, but it can be a reflection of their misconceptions or their actions. And importantly, it's accepting that these feelings or mistakes do not make you a bad person. They don't make you a failure. And it's accepting that it's okay to keep trying every time you fail. There's nothing wrong with it. And there is nothing wrong with you. Embrace it. Embrace your feelings and learn from them and grow. There is nothing wrong with feeling what you feel as long as you try not to let your feelings hurt other people and you make amends when it's safe and necessary. Never stop trying to be your best self because you deserve the very best. Next to autism acceptance is giving ourselves the due credit and self-love. It's acknowledging that yes, it is so hard being autistic, but we are all trying our 100% best. And just because our achievements are different does not mean they are not achievements. Just because our progress may look differently to other people does not mean it's not progress. We should be proud of ourselves and how far we've come. And also we should remember that we're still the tiniest seed of the person that we are growing to become. There is still time to blossom from a seed to a flower or a tree. And all flowers grow with positive sunshine and negative rain. It's accepting that we just may need time to grow, and that is okay. It's accepting that misconceptions may not be true about you. It's accepting that you are valuable for 100% of who you are because of your autism and not in spite of it. In the journey to acceptance, and not always matching such stereotypes, I did question myself, am I really autistic? And now I understand and accept myself. I can see that yes, I certainly am. You see, the reminders of my hardships and the world's misunderstanding of me can be hard, they can be brutal, but they can be wonderful too, always ready to remind me of the silver linings that are me because of my autism. I'll be honest, I'll just seek or show a unique empathy and smile to myself. There it is, there's my autism. I'll catch myself eating an Asperger burger and talking in a monologue about a topic of interest, and I'll giggle to myself in recognition of my autism. I'll stim and self-regulate and beam because I know that it's empowering me to systemize data and feel peaceful and focus. I'll become hyper-fixated, hyper-focused and passionate about something, and I'll be overjoyed that my autism lets me feel this way and empowers me to focus with such a dedication and effectiveness on any topic I feel. I'll learn a fact easily and be logical and act without unreasonable emotion, and I'll laugh. As I remember, it is because my autistic brain is wired to process facts before emotion or memories. I'll avoid eye contact and chuckle at the stereotypes. I'll notice details that no one else does and appreciate every blade of grass and marvel at the beauty of the world around me. And I'll feel reassured that my autism is beautiful too. Autism acceptance is embracing those reminders, your hardships, your gifts, your quirks, silver linings. And it's learning to grow from them and develop. Not because acceptance is demanded of you, but because you deserve to be your best self. Yeah, despite the hardships, I am 100% autistic, and I thrive because of my autism, not in spite of it. And most of all, I would not change my disability for the world, because I love my Asperger world after all. It's time for me to finish now, but it's been a real honour to be here speaking online with you all. So yeah, thank you all very much for listening.
Thank you, Jolie. That was amazing. I have learned so much from you. And I remember the first time you spoke at the Expo, and I think it might have been one of your very first talks, and that was such a brave step, and you did an amazing job then. But I can see how far you've come. It's just the confidence, you know, the way that you're so comfortable with yourself is just amazing, and everyone can see that too. We've just had some wonderful comments from people saying you're doing a great job, Jolie, keep it up. Really enjoyed seeing you. Nice to see you again. Well done on your amazing journey. You're an inspiration to all. That's Persia's mum. Angela Ray saying, Jolie, thank you for today. I'm going to add you to our list we have for my son of inspirational people. Nessie is saying, thank you so much, Jolie, a truly motivational speaker. Well done, and keep being the beautiful you.
Thank you.
Sophia saying, you are an inspiration. Sasha, thank you very much, Jolie. You've hit a lot of good points in your talk. Brave. Matthew Bennett, that was excellent. Bev, beautifully explained. Fab. And Carol Stott, brilliant. Well done, you.
Thank you, everyone.
That's amazing. So you know, so please do carry on doing what you're doing. You're just doing a fantastic job explaining everything, and like I said, I have learnt so much about gaslighting and stuff like that. It's just such an important subject. Really
hugely important.
Yes, hugely important. Anna?
Thank you very much. That is the best talk I've seen you do. That was just amazing.
Thank you.
How is married life, can I ask?
How is married life? He's over here. Amazing. He's all nervous.
Hello.
I remember your beautiful... Hello! I remember your beautiful wedding photos. Oh, they were gorgeous. Beautiful. So how is it a year now, or was it longer?
2 years now.
2 years? Wow.
2 years, yeah.
2-year anniversary, which was
wow.
for a walk back at where we actually had the wedding, didn't we? That's right.
Can you hear him?
Yeah, I can.
Because it was obviously in the middle of lockdown, we can't go anywhere or do anything, so it was just going for a walk where we actually had the wedding, wasn't it?
It was very special. Yeah.
Oh,
yes, it was good.
How lucky you are to have each other.
Thank you.
Very
lucky.
Yeah.
And how's your lovely mum?
She's good. Yeah, she's
right?
Busy as ever.
Okay, say hello to her from me.
I will.
Because we always have a little chat every time we meet up. But no, definitely the best talk you've done. The very best one.
And Lisa has
also you're growing.
Lisa Bose has also said, thank you to everyone for today. It's been wonderful, such inspirational speakers. So again, it's been humbling today, I think, for all of us. It's just been fantastic. Thank you again so much. And thank you to everyone.
Thank you to Tally as well for hosting it. I know, because we've never done anything like this before. I think we've done workshops with individuals, but not with groups over 2 days. So we know it works. So hopefully we can do more of these. And I just want to say thank you to Juliana, to Dagmara, to Janet, to Carol, to Laurie, to Matthew and Callum, and obviously thank you to Jolie and her wonderful husband that's next to her now. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, everyone. And thank you for everyone watching and listening to us all. Stay safe, stay strong, everyone. We'll get through it all. Hopefully it'll be gone soon, but we've learned so much about each other by doing all of this. So fantastic stuff. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Take care. Bye.